I think it's funny. Hi. So today I am dog sitting, and I have been dog sitting for like the last year because I lost my little fur baby, and this was my not having responsibilities and having a fur baby, but taking on the responsibilities and getting the love from other people who just need someone to house it and take care of their dog. And I started to kind of freak out because it's been it's been something for me that every time that I start at a new house, there's a little bit of anxiety trying to make sure like everything is set up, that the dogs are taken care of, that I'm not overstepping any boundaries, even though most of the owners are like, make yourself at home, take whatever you want. I literally just got back from Walmart because I decided I wanted cereal, which I don't typically eat. So I got two little guys that I can make a concoction out of. Instead of buying a whole bag of one terrible cereal, I got a healthy version for later on. And I went home to grab my almond milk because I didn't want to be a bother and use what was in their fridge, even though they have almond milk and milk. And like, it's not like I have an allergy. I just have found that I like vanilla almond milk, whatever. It's just, so I sit here and I laugh because of these inner stories, these inner beliefs, these inner blockages that I have over the most silliest things, even though people have welcomed me or invited me into using theirs or whatever. I remember whenever I was a kid, my dad and my stepmom and I went to Illinois to visit my dad's dad and some other family. And like, we had gotten to, I think, my cousin's house, and she asked if I wanted something to drink. And this stepmom, by the way, she had her own, she was brought up in her own ways, and sometimes her thinking clashed with the way that my mother's thinking went. So let's just say things got things didn't always go cohesively. And so we're at this cousin's house, and she asked if I wanted something to drink. I was maybe like 7, 8. And I said, I don't care, because I didn't care. Like, sure, but I don't want to be a bother, so I don't care. And man, my stepmom got so mad at me. From what I remember, she probably wasn't throwing it into that big of an ordeal. But I remember her just being like, it's so rude of you to not answer with a yes or a no. She's being kind enough to offer you this, and you can't even give her a straight answer. And, with the backstories and the yada yadas, at the time, I was like, man, like, how dare she, like, throw that in my face? But now that I think about it, it's like, she was just trying to teach me how to be confident. Like, she was just trying to give me that level up in, standing up for myself, like making a choice, because it's taken me 20 some odd years to just be who I am now, deciding that I'm going to do something. And so it's kind of sad that I took that for granted, and I made a whole thing out of it back then. It's just, like, how long are you going to wait before you take action for yourself? It's kind of like the motorcycle. Like, I bought a motorcycle last summer, and it's something that I wanted to do. Like, I think I was 11 or 12, and I really wanted a dirt bike. I grew up on 90 acres. I was like, man, a dirt bike. We have the land. It'd be so much fun. And my mother said, absolutely not. And like, they didn't even want me riding a four-wheeler, which was just a farm four-wheeler, outside of like first or second gear, until about me being on the four-wheeler 3 times. And they're like, all right, you got to shift because you're going to blow the damn thing up. I'm like, well, I didn't go out of gear, but I made sure that the gas was pedal to the metal. And so dirt bike comes around, and it was an absolutely not. And so I never, I took that for what it was, and I dated motorcycle mechanics. I've dated tons of guys who ride bikes, And you know, none of them even offered to like teach me how. Like I was in the shop quite a bit with my one boyfriend who was a mechanic, but I didn't, you know, I paid attention a little bit. I wish I would have paid attention more. But you know, that was more on me. It's not like it was my boyfriend's fault. It was more, and I had that inner story that I wasn't allowed. And so why even try? Which really, now that I think about it, really irritates me too. In myself, like, and I'm not gonna hold a grudge against myself because I've already bought the motorcycle and it's already having issues. And so thankfully there's YouTube and I get to learn and hopefully make friends who can help me and teach me. But it's just funny how at 36, I finally decided to buy a bike because I got rid of that story. I got rid of that belief that I wasn't good enough or that, you know, whatever little story that I had created, besides the fact that I was told no and being an obedient person to my parents, I finally realized like I am an adult. I am sober and I am an adult. And I have to go, and on the sober portion, I have to say it's probably a good thing that I didn't get a bike or get on a bike by myself in younger years because there was a lot of substances involved. And I probably wouldn't be here today. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. But I also believe that because of those substances, I stayed stuck in those patterns because it was my escape. I was irritated with those stories, and the only way that I knew I could escape from those stories and like be somewhat free was to do substances, to do drugs. And it's really interesting because I also had an uncle that got sober, and after being sober for a while, it was a very hard tell that he was still stuck in his younger years. Like, and now that I'm thinking about it, that was kind of something that was brought to my attention even back then. Say a person, you know, starts doing drugs and it's like a nonstop thing. Well, shoot, even in my case, I was just a functioning, but you're still like, once you come back, you're still gonna be that same person because you really haven't allowed yourself to grow through anything. You've just been escaping. And I didn't ever understand that either. You know, like in the DARE program or the posters on the wall telling you at school saying, you know, you're just trying to escape. Like at the time I was like, what do I have to escape from? Like nothing's terrible. But in reality, it wasn't so much the circumstances, it was the escaping myself, like escaping the stories that I had within myself, just from my environment, from the way that I was brought up, from the stories and the beliefs that had been passed down. I guess you could call it that generational pattern. I don't really know. But all I know is now that I'm aware of it, it's like, why am I waiting? Why am I waiting? Like even with this video, it's so funny because I was kind of wigging out. Like I said, I got to the house today and I was like, man, okay, I got to get everything figured out. Like I got stuff to do. But I really don't have anything to do because I cleared out my list yesterday and just coming to the house today was like my top priority. I got some other things I needed to do, but the really important stuff I did. And I was like, but I've committed to making these videos and I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So on the way to get my cereal, I just had these little ahas. And the biggest aha was how much I've always believed that I have to be doing something in order to like be worthy. I believe that. Like I feel like that was a story that I had taken on, was that to be successful, it's not a believe, I know the story that I had was to be successful, you have to be doing, you have to be working, you have to be hustling. And I've always worked 2 or 3 jobs. And right now I'm in a good space. I mean, I still barber and I get to play with fur babies, you know, like people's pets while they're out of town and get paid for it. And, you know, it's not something I want to be for the rest of my life, But right now it's working. And even though today has kind of been a more of a slacker day, I've just been getting caught up on some training, some videos, some coaching replays. And I was still really worried until I got into the truck. And then it made me realize, like, I feel good. I feel good because I had an epiphany for what I wanted to talk about, which I can't think of exactly this moment, but I think it had to do with the motorcycle, honestly. And it was like, I stopped and I paused and I came back to myself and I was like, I feel really good. I feel good because today has been mellow. It's been graceful, it's been easy. I got a workout in, I got to play with these babies. I just got cereal, and you know, I'm going towards something with this new identity that I am stepping into and taking action on the things that I may have been afraid of before, or more so just like stepping into my power. I feel really good about this. You know, it's not gonna happen overnight. Tomorrow, nothing's gonna be, well, maybe, but for the most part, like, I don't expect it. There's no expectations. I'm getting more comfortable with being within myself and not being in this hustle culture. Trying to ease my nervous system into working smarter, not harder. And enjoying what I do. And coming from a place of gratitude and of full intention and a service. And I don't even know, you know, we'll find out if this is service. I hope that something that I say throughout my videos resonates and like helps somebody along the way. That is the intention. It's just nice to like feel that inside myself, which is a whole different topic. Like, and of course, you know, like I said, I have a million things going on. And that's why it's funny that I have taken so long to even start shooting and like talking to you guys, because I was so afraid I wouldn't have anything to say. But in reality, I've got so much shit to say that I'm just throwing out 10 different bullet points in one video. So apologies if that was a lot and it's hard to keep up. Again, we're gonna work on this organization and talking more in a direct and organized manner. If you wouldn't mind, if anything that I was talking about today resonates, let me know in the comments, because even people who have been doing the work for a long time still come up with different like realizations of things that they can work on. So no judgment. Like, why can't we all be at the top? Anyways, until next time, peace.